Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV with your NFL Fade the Public Divisional Round playoff report, taking a deep dive into all four NFL playoff games for this Saturday and Sunday, January the 20th and 21st. All four divisional round playoff games. I'm going to let you know the most public sides and totals this weekend. And the most public side and total in each game were applicable. But once again, the most public plays, you're going to find them right here on WagerTalk TV for this divisional round. Recapping last week, I gave you four totals. The public was pretty neutral on the sides. Public went 2-2 on the four totals I mentioned as plays and leans. This week, they're a little more active, and we have two strong sides and also two totals in which the public is heavy on. And the majority of it comes in the Saturday action. In fact, public underdog alert, ding, 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 red flag. We don't have to wait long for the most public play of the week, and it's also the most public dog so far of the playoffs. And that's your first game at 4:30 Eastern Saturday afternoon in the AFC. Houston and Baltimore. And yes, who would have thought the Houston Texans are getting some public love just a few years ago, the bottom feeder of the NFL, and now they're the most public play of the divisional round of the playoffs. Houston getting a lot of support at plus 9.5. And we always talk about adjusted line value. Got to wonder, would this line have been 10 or higher had Houston not been such a public play this week? We'll see where it closes on Saturday when it kicks off at 4:30 Eastern. But right now, holding 9.5 across the board at the WagerTalk Live odds screen. And the Houston Texans are the most public play this week and a substantial public dog, which always catches your eye. Now, I will point out that we get more public dogs in the playoffs. We get them more in the postseason in all sports. In fact, March Madness, I'll do that video in a couple months. We'll have a public report. You're going to see some public dogs there as well, because when quality teams, winning teams are getting points, and all of a sudden the public no longer plays favorites and they start leaning towards dogs, and that is the case in this early game on Saturday. Mentioned it last week. Every Houston Texan franchise playoff game in history has been the 4:30 Saturday slot. They pulled the upset last week against Cleveland. And by the way, Cleveland was getting a little bit of public sentiment last week. But once again, Texans are slotted into that 4:30 spot. Ravens, of course, are basically coming off a double bye. They got the one seed, the bye week, but also they didn't have to play their starters in the finale against Pittsburgh a couple weeks back because they clinched with that impressive 56-19 home win over the Dolphins on New Year's Eve. Of course, right before that on Christmas night, and the equally impressive 14-point win at San Francisco. They did take advantage of 5 turnovers in that game, though. But still, Baltimore has been playing excellent football, even though they lost that finale to Pittsburgh, in which they've rested Lamar Jackson and other key players. Keep in mind, same situation 4 seasons ago, back in 2019, when they lost as the number 1 seed in the divisional round here after the bye and resting their players in the finale. They came up short against Tennessee. Little misleading, though, because they had over 500 yards of offense in that game. They just couldn't put the ball in the end zone. Lamar Jackson, very shaky in the playoffs. They've been bumped in their first game 3 the last 4 times. So they do have a chip on their shoulder, and they should come pretty focused here, but the public doesn't care. They're on the Houston Texans plus the 9.5. And by the way, I did a deep dive into this game, a solo video here on Wager Talk TV. You should check that out, a 5-minute deep dive into this matchup. In fact, I did deep dives into all 4 of these games, solo videos. Going to kind of touch on them quickly here as we're doing all 4 in one video for the public information. But once again, if you want to deep dive into the matchups, the analytics, and my leans as well, check out those solo videos here on Wager Talk TV. Yet another reason to hit subscribe and hit the bell for instant alerts. Oh, by the way, the total is also the most public total this week. The public is on the over in this game as well. That also qualifies as a public selection, both side and total in the early game. Houston plus 9.5. And the over in this game, over 43.5. Opened as high as 46.5, down to 43.5. So obviously the sharp weather money earlier this week pushed it down. As I do this video on Friday, got a lot of snow in Baltimore today on Friday, but it looks like it's going to be clear by kickoff tomorrow. Very cold, in the 20s, wind chill in the teens, but not much wind, and there should be no more precipitation. They'll have the field clear. So I don't think weather's going to be an issue, except for maybe Houston, somewhat of an indoor warm weather team down there in Texas. Obviously could struggle. Rookie quarterback Stroud looked excellent in his debut last week. Youngest quarterback to ever win a playoff game in NFL history. Much tougher test this week, though, on the road against maybe the best NFL pass defense in Baltimore in cold and frigid conditions. All right, the next game on the board is also a public underdog. Ding, ding, ding. Part 2. Ring that bell a second time. The Packers plus 9.5. Deja vu. It's deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra said. By the way, put your best Yogi Berra quotes in the comments below. There's like 20 good ones. Put them in the comments below. Let's have some fun, even though it's not baseball season. All seriousness, though, Houston plus 9.5. Packers plus 9.5. Another public dog. Now, this one's not quite as public. I was about to rate it as a lean only, but the consensus is still on the dog. And whenever I see an underdog getting more than 50% of the consensus on the different metrics I use. It's a public dog, even though it is the postseason. So once again, the Packers also qualify as a public dog this week. Once again, Houston, the Texans, I thought were the strongest public play. I would say the Packers are the second most public side this week, plus the 9.5. And what's interesting about this one, the line has actually moved to 10 in some locations as of Friday afternoon. I'm doing this video Friday afternoon, and we're seeing some 10s out there now. So it does look like there's a possible sharp square divide on this game with the pros on the 49ers and the Joes on the Packers. So something else I wanted to point out. And just like the other matchup, not only is the public on the dog, but they're also on the over in this one as well. The other most public overplay this week is the over in the Green Bay San Francisco game, over 50.5. And that's a key number because 51 is a very key number. About a 3 to 4% chance this game lands exactly on 51 points. So you got to wonder, with the public pushing it on the over and it's sitting at 50.5, we'll probably see some 51s by kickoff Saturday night at 8:15 Eastern. So if you like the over, I would play the 50.5 now. No chance risking losing that key half point. If you like the under, I'd hold off till near kickoff. This will be a heavily bet game being Saturday night, and it does look like the public is fairly heavy on the over, so you might find some 51s by kickoff on Saturday evening. Same situation as the Baltimore game where San Francisco is the number one seed. They got the bye. They're rested, and just like Baltimore, they had already clinched the number one before the season finale a couple weeks ago, so they did not play Purdy. They did not play other key players as well in that home loss against the Rams. In fact, they've only had one real game in the past 3 weeks, and that was on New Year's Eve against not my Washington Commanders, 27-10 win to clinch the number one seed. And, of course, before that, as I mentioned, they lost to Baltimore on Christmas night. So they're actually just 1-2 straight up in ATS their last three, yet they were still good enough to lock up the number one seed. By the way, teams in the wild card round that went straight up as a dog, I mentioned this in the solo videos. I talked about those solo videos for all the games here on WagerTalk TV. But I'll give this angle to you. It applies to both of the games on Saturday. Teams that win straight up as a dog in the wild card round are only 21% straight up in the divisional round. So I do think both Baltimore and San Francisco make good 7-point teasers at 9.5 or less, because that gets them down to -2.5. So once again, Ravens and 49ers look like a pretty solid 7-point teaser as long as you get them both down to -2.5 or less, because that puts them in a straight up win situation under that key number of 3. Hey, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on these Saturday games. If you like any teasers like the ones I mentioned, player props, throw out those player props as well. And once again, your homework assignment this weekend, Yogi Berra quotes. Look them up and put them down below. Deja vu all over again. That restaurant is so crowded, no one goes there anymore. That's another great one. I think Berra said that as well. All seriousness, though, if you want my best bets, check out my page this weekend, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Of course, college and pro basketball is going to be your daily moneymaker for the rest of the winter. We have 7 NFL games remaining, 6 playoff in the Super Bowl, divisional, conference, and Super Bowl. 7 games remaining in the NFL season. We had 6 last week alone, so we're halfway through the playoffs. Basketball is where you're going to make your money, and boy, have I been crushing it in college and pro hoops, just in all sports in general. In fact, we're into 2024 now. Let's go all the way back to the start of 2022. Over 2 years ago, nobody has won more in all sports sides, basketball, baseball, and football combined, than I have at WagerTalk.com. Number one in the NBA since the start of 2023 over a year ago. Also number one in college and pro football sides of the last 2+ years, going all the way back to 2022 as well. You get the point. I'm winning on all sports consistently, so not a bad idea to maybe check out an all sports all access. And guess what? This weekend is the time to do it, because you get an instant 20% discount with promo code SUPER20. SUPER20, SUPER20 is the promo code to get you an instant 20% discount on any all-access package. It can be a 1 day, a 1 week, a 1 month, or a full 1 year. The bigger the package, the bigger the savings, and the bigger the winnings. You figure out which one works best for you, but do it this weekend so you save 20% instantly on any all-access package. Promo code SUPER20, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with that shortcut code, WT.buzz/SM. Don't forget to also post free plays daily, each and every day. A lot of free basketball plays, and I post them daily on that page, so check those out as well. Great way to build your bankroll here in the wintertime. All right, let's move on to Sunday. I gave you those public plays for Saturday. Once again, both dogs and both overs are the most public plays this week. On Sunday's card, public is trading a little more lightly here, and I'm going to say not even leans, really just some public sentiment. We'll call it public sentiment, because I want to give you info on all these games wherever it's applicable. But once again, public is not too involved on Sunday in either game. Let's start with the 3 o'clock Eastern game, Detroit and Tampa. Same situation I mentioned in the 2 Saturday games. We've got a team coming off a straight-up wild-card underdog win in Tampa. They're only 21% straight up, only 40% against the spread over the past decade plus. so that does favor Detroit. But the public is pretty neutral in this game. If I had to say which way they're leaning slightly, maybe a little bit of sentiment towards Detroit. And this line did go from 6 to 6.5. I'm not sure it's enough, though, to push it to 7. In fact, as of Friday afternoon, we're seeing some 6s come back down. It really is a split. I saw some spots lightly on Detroit, but also some indicators that Tampa was becoming a public dog. And with this being the Sunday game, as more public comes in this weekend, there might be more money on Tampa. I did see some light indicators that public might be on Tampa a little bit more than showing earlier in the week when the more sharp money plays. So once again, really no information on the side in this game. I would say the most public situation in this game is the over. A little bit of a lean towards the over 50 in this game. It opened 48.5, sitting 49.5 most of the week. Now it's up to 50. I don't think it's going to hit that key number of 51 by kickoff on Sunday at 3 Eastern. But once again, the public is leaning a little bit towards the over here. I would agree with Detroit in the over. I did a solo video. Once again, if you want my deep dive into the analytics of this game, check out that solo video here on WagerTalk TV. But you do figure Tampa's got to regress at some point, and they're playing excellent football. But if you look at the earlier meeting this season, back the 5th game, actually Tampa, it was week 6, I believe, because Tampa was coming off a bye, but it was only their 5th game. Buccaneers start 3-1 on the season, have an open date, stay at home to play Detroit, and they lose 20-6 as only a 3-point dog. Really were never in that game. They got outgained 5.8 to 4.7 yards per play, got outgained by almost 130 total yards. Now, yes, they have played better since, but that really started a little bit of a downward spiral. In fact, Tampa went just 1-6 straight up over a 7-game span, starting with that Detroit loss after the bye. But now they have finished strong, winning 6 of their last 7. Question becomes, are they that much better? Is Baker Mayfield that much better? We'll find out. Detroit is suspect in the secondary. Their pass defense has been weak this year, and Tampa Bay is a good passing team. They have absolutely no rushing attack. They're pass only. So the matchup does favor the over here. So once again, a little bit of public sentiment on the over, but I agree. I like the over in this game, 49-50. I think over 50 makes some sense. All right, one more game on the card. It's your late game at 6:30 Eastern Sunday. Playoff classic, it seems, each and every year, and that's the Chiefs and Bills, whether it's a regular season classic last year or a highly contested playoff game a couple years ago, which really, I don't like the word epic. That's one of my pet peeves, epic. It gets used a lot, but that game 2 years ago on January 23rd, 2 seasons ago, when Kansas City propelled themselves to the Super Bowl with the overtime home win in which rules were changed 42-36. And there was a situation where had Buffalo won the toss, they would have probably won the game and gone to the Super Bowl. And then, of course, they've met in the regular season each of the past 2 years, back the 24-20 game back in 2022 as well. And then this season, December 10th, just a month ago, Buffalo goes into Kansas City and they win 20-17 as a 1-point dog. Really saved their season. Let's not forget, Buffalo drops that game at KC. They might not make the playoffs. They end up being the number 2 seed. And boy, did Miami screw themselves blowing that game at home on Sunday night a few weeks ago, having to go to Kansas City in the frigid conditions. Well, it's going to be cold again in Buffalo this Sunday, but the conditions will be clear. Cold weather shouldn't affect either Kansas City or Buffalo. They're used to it. Doesn't look like there'll be much wind. There'll be no precipitation. So I think it'll be a clean game as far as the weather goes. And just like that Detroit game, very little sentiment on either the side or total. Maybe a little bit of a lean towards Buffalo overall, but I do see some public indicators in other situations I look at, which shows there's some love for the Chiefs. So the side is really neutral in this game. And, like I said, the public normally plays favorite. So I guess you can make an argument when it's neutral. They're leaning a little bit towards the dog, but I really don't see much in this game one way or the other on the side as far as public sentiment. The total, maybe a little bit of a lean towards the over, just like we saw in Detroit, but I'd say that Detroit-Tampa game has more of a lean. So of the 2 games on Sunday, I gave you a ton of public information. All 4 sides and totals on Saturday qualify. Sunday, not as much so. I'd say the Detroit-Tampa over was the only one which I saw a little bit of public sentiment. Really nothing in this late game between Kansas City and Buffalo on the side or total. And that total, by the way, currently at 45.5. I will point out that Kansas City at plus 2.5 looks like a pretty good teaser play. Currently, it's 2.5 minus 20. So we will see if it hits that key number of 3. And once again, I do believe Caesars as of Friday afternoon has gone to 3 even, minus 120 of the dog. So once again, if you like Buffalo, I would play the minus 2.5 now, as we have started to see some 3s pop. If you like Kansas City, I would wait. You might find more plus 3s. But once again, I don't see much public lean on either the side or total in this game. So not sure which way that line's going to move. But there are some indications so far this week that money's coming in on Buffalo. So I would wait if you like Kansas City and try to grab a plus 3. If you only have a 2.5, I think they do make a solid teaser, taking them up to plus 8.5. Of course, there's not really any other teaser situations for 6-pointers. I mentioned the 2 Saturday games, in which I think both favorites teasing them down to 2.5 make excellent 7-point teasers. So if Kansas City does rise to +3, you could do a 7-point teaser, get them up to +10, and then tie them up with either Baltimore or San Francisco on Saturday. So just some different options there. But once again, I did do a deep dive into all 4 of these games with 5-6 minute solo videos here on Wager Talk TV. But I wanted to give you the public information for the divisional round. Once again, the 4 official public plays all occur on Saturday. That's just how it is. Houston +9.5, Green Bay +9.5, over 43.5 in the Houston-Baltimore game, and over 50.5 in the Green Bay-San Francisco game. Those are your 4 official public sides and totals for the divisional round. Really nothing on Sunday, maybe a little bit of public sentiment on the Tampa and Detroit over 49.5, over 50, and that's about it on Sunday's card. Enjoy the games. Comment below. I read all the comments. I reply back here on YouTube. Let me know your thoughts. Where do you agree or disagree with the public? What sides or totals do you like this week? Include some player props. We didn't go down the player prop route, but I know many of you do quite well with those. Include some analysis as well so everyone else can learn and earn together here on Wager Talk TV. Comment below. I read them all. I reply back. I love the support. Thumbs up, like if you found the video useful. And don't forget, if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe and be sure to hit the bell when you subscribe, because then you get instant alerts and you'll know when this NFL Fade the Public video goes up for both the conference championship games next week and the Super Bowl in a few weeks with all my props. Also looking to start my college basketball top 25 Saturday video next week. You'll get alerts on that as well. And don't forget, throughout the week, Monday through Friday, daily videos here, solo NBA and college basketball free play videos. So hit the bell, hit subscribe for instant alerts. And once again, red hot in all sports. I know we're talking NFL. And by the way, I do have some strong NFL playoff best bets for my clients this weekend right now at wagertalk.com. If you want to get the NFL package, go get that right now. But if you're serious about making money, include those college and pro basketball best bets, which have been just crushing it this year and every year, to be quite honest. Going back now over the past 2 years plus, nobody has won more in all sports. Football, baseball, and basketball sides combined over the past 2 years plus, all the way back to 2022, than I have at wagertalk.com. And it continues this weekend with a huge college basketball card on Saturday and Sunday. NBA as well. In fact, last year alone in the NBA, I was up 40 net games above 500. I'm number 1 ranked in the NBA the past year plus in units won as well. Why not try an all access this weekend? You get the NFL, you get college basketball, pro basketball each and every day and night, and you save 20% instantly this weekend only with promo code SUPER20, SUPER20. SUPER20 gets it done and gets you an instant 20% discount on any all-access package. It can be a 1 day, a 1 week, a 1 month, even a full 1 year of all sports all access with an instant 20% discount this weekend only with promo code SUPER20. Get there quicker with shortcut wt.buzz/SM. And be sure to check out those daily free plays. I post free plays every day as well on my page. Great way to build your basketball bankroll here this season for free. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow me on Twitter as well at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L at Steve Merril on Twitter. And don't forget, I post free plays throughout the week on Instagram as well. Yeah, I'm on IG. Who knew? Follow me and Wager Talk on Instagram. And be sure to stay tuned right here to Wager Talk TV for all those NFL solo preview playoff videos coming up next.